Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack one of the absolute most fascinating business models on the internet today. We are decoding the philanthropic flywheel of Jimmy Donaldson, who, as you probably know, is way better known to billions of viewers as MrBeast. So how exactly do you engineer sheer ridiculous internet spectacle to fund massive, world-changing acts of kindness? Well, that's exactly what we're going to decode right now, because this isn't just a story about getting clicks or views. It's a deep dive into a self-funding charity engine that literally changed the entire landscape of digital content.
To really wrap our heads around the scale of what we're looking at here, we have to start with this incredibly stark contrast. Over on one side, you've got Jimmy's totally unlikely origin story. We're talking about a profoundly shy kid from a relatively small town in North Carolina, battling a debilitating chronic illness, just sitting alone in his bedroom talking to a computer screen. And on the flip side, we have a creator who casually gives away millions of dollars in single drops, literally feeding tens of thousands of people. I mean, how on earth do you bridge a gap that massive? Well, it all starts with an absolute, undeniable obsession.
You see, looking at the grind years, Jimmy always had this hyper-obsessive personality. Originally, that obsession was aimed entirely at baseball. But at age 15, everything completely shifted. He was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. The immense pain, the extreme weight loss, and just the total lack of energy absolutely shattered those baseball dreams. So what did he do? He redirected all of that intense, obsessive energy into literally the only other thing he loved, which was YouTube. By his senior year of high school, his mom gave him a super strict ultimatum: go to college or move out. So he went to college. But actually, he secretly skipped his classes just to film in his dorm and then dropped out within the very first month to go completely all in on content creation.
But listen, going all in definitely didn't mean immediate glamour, right? Jimmy was building his foundation on absolute scraps. I mean, he was using a stolen hand-me-down laptop from his brother, his camera, a Windows phone shooting in 480p, which he explicitly described as looking like rubbing sandpaper on the lens. He had to save up for months and months just to buy a microphone so his audio wouldn't literally make his viewers' ears bleed. And for all of this grueling effort, working day and night, he was barely pulling in $30 a month.
75,000. Think about that number for a second. That is the exact number of views it took Jimmy just to make his very first $100 off of the platform. It's a crazy testament to his relentless patience. He was out there collecting scraps, making commentary content, playing video games, and pushing through literally years of making zero money because, as he put it, just the thought of possibly being a full-time creator one day was enough to keep him happy.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive turning point. After years of grinding, Jimmy realized that normal content just simply wasn't going to cut it anymore. So he decided to literally force virality through sheer absurd effort. While other creators were doing, standard vlogs or gaming stuff, Jimmy was sitting down to count to 100,000, which literally took him 40 hours. He read the entire B-movie script. He spun a fidget spinner for 24 hours straight and broke a world record. The sheer ridiculousness of these incredibly lengthy challenges made it so audiences simply couldn't look away.
Which brings us to his first major foundational realization. He figured out, hey, if I do things that no one else would do because they're so hard and take so much effort, people have no choice but to watch. It's brilliant, right? The extreme effort actually became the spectacle itself. He proved that if you outwork literally everyone else out there to do something completely original, you absolutely guarantee audience attention. And naturally, with that massive audience attention, came the first real money. Then came the exact moment the MrBeast we all know today was actually born. After his absurd videos started blowing up, he got his very first major brand deal offer from a company called Quid. They offered him $5,000. Now, for a kid who used to save for months just for a basic microphone, this was astronomical. But instead of just taking it, Jimmy demanded $10,000. And not for a new car or a better studio setup, but specifically so he could walk outside and give the entire amount to a homeless person. Amazingly, the sponsor agreed, and he actually handed over the 10 grand in pure cash.
The impact of that moment was profound, and not just for the guy receiving the cash, but for Jimmy himself. As his mom recalls, and I love this quote, she said, "I had never heard so much enthusiasm. I had never heard so much heart. His heart was changed." Giving away that money brought him a level of fulfillment and joy he had never, ever experienced before. He realized that seeing someone's face light up, watching them go from having a rough day to pure shock and joy, was literally the most entertaining and satisfying thing in the entire world.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that out of that single experience, he invented a genius business mechanic. We call it the philanthropic flywheel. Here is exactly how it works. Step 1.
He secures money from a brand deal. Step 2, he gives 100% of that money away in the content. Step 3, that massive, incredible act of generosity makes it go insanely viral. And Step 4, he uses those massive viewership numbers to secure an even bigger brand deal for the next project. It's an endless loop. The cycle funds itself, constantly escalating in scale.
But hey, while we're talking about business mechanics and digital numbers, we really have to ground this in real human impact. Following that first video, Jimmy started tipping pizza delivery drivers thousands of dollars. And listen to what one driver told them the very next day, literally in tears. "I got to spend the day with my kid because you gave me money and it allowed me to take a day off." It wasn't just about the cash, right? It was about buying a working parent the time to actually spend a day with their child. This visceral, emotional feedback completely hooked him.
He realized he had stumbled onto something completely unprecedented. "I think I just cracked the code," he said. And he really did. He realized he could indefinitely scale this entire cycle. He could use corporate brand money to radically change the lives of everyday people, and by filming it, generate the viewership needed to do it all over again, bigger and better tomorrow. It was a massive win for the brands, a huge win for his channel's growth, and most importantly, an absolute life-changing win for the people he was helping.
This realization led to a radically different business model than any other creator out there. Make $100,000, spend $100,000. When Jimmy started making serious money, he tried doing what normal successful people do, right? He bought designer clothes, a nice sports car, but he quickly figured out that a $1,000 shirt and a fast car didn't cure his Crohn's disease, and they definitely didn't bring him genuine happiness. So he just got rid of the materialistic things and decided to reinvest every single dollar back into the work to maximize his impact. Which brings us to the central thesis of his entire operation. He said, "I really think positivity can be just as interesting as negativity. I just think it's harder." In an internet landscape that so often thrives on drama, trash talk, and tearing people down, Jimmy set out to prove that upbeat, fulfilling, and aggressively positive content could capture just as much attention. It just required way more creativity and effort on his part.
Let's move to and see how this builds when you apply it at a global scale. 20 million. When Jimmy was approaching 20 million subscribers, he didn't want to just do some normal celebration video. No way. He decided he wanted to plant 20 million trees. When he first researched it, experts told him it was stupid and impossible. But in true MrBeast fashion, when told something is impossible, he somehow makes it more impossible. He tweeted out the challenge and the entire internet rallied behind him.
The details of the Team Trees campaign are just staggering. He partnered with former NASA engineer Mark Rober and the Arbor Day Foundation. The goal was to raise $20 million in just 2 months. They got massive top donations, obviously, like over $1 million from Elon Musk, but the most incredible metric here, that $4 median donation. That literally represents kids giving up their tooth fairy money and bake sale profits. It created a huge communal shift in behavior. And the result? They smashed that completely impossible goal in just 1 single month.
That campaign proved the internet wasn't just all talk. From there, he just kept scaling the spectacle, especially when the COVID pandemic hit. He started giving away $250,000 over Zoom to people who lost their jobs. He partnered up to drop 170,000 servings of protein to local shelters in North Carolina, totaling 2 million meals. He even opened the world's first entirely free restaurant. That resulted in a 20-mile-long traffic jam of people getting free food, cash, and iPads literally stuffed through their car windows. He was creating real-world chaos, but purely for a good cause.
And that natural evolution led to the ultimate final form of his flywheel, Beast Philanthropy. This is a completely separate channel dedicated solely to charity. Every single cent of ad revenue, every brand deal, and all merch sales from this channel go directly into running a massive food bank that serves tens of thousands of families. He effectively created a system where just the simple act of you watching a video literally puts food into someone's mouth. How amazing is that?
So the crucial point is, Jimmy recognizes that he operates on an unbelievable billion-view scale, giving away millions of dollars. But he emphasizes this really important takeaway for the rest of us. Just because you can't do something massive doesn't mean what you're doing isn't important. Tipping a delivery driver a few extra dollars, complimenting a stranger, or just mowing your neighbor's lawn might seem tiny to you. But if millions of people do those tiny acts, it creates a massive macro impact on the culture. Jimmy Donaldson turned a lonely bedroom obsession into a self-sustaining engine of global kindness, proving that doing good can actually be the best business model of all. Which leaves us with one final thought to consider. How will you start your own cycle of positivity today? Thanks so much for joining me to decode the